Every rose. The music pulsed like a second heartbeat through the crowd, driving them on in their heated merriments. With each pound of the music they writhed as though an electric charge spurred on their dance. The dark shadows that pervaded the club and through the crowd only illuminated in gashes by the swerving lights above which came and went, allowing for the cast of shadows to expose all manner of tricks of the mind with only intermittent glimpses to that which they were blinded by the hypnotic ritual of drink, dance, and sound. But it was away from the sound-driven crowd, observing silently from above at the top of the stairs to the VIP section, where Lady Orchid found herself watching them, with her hands braced on the cool aluminum railing. Her mood foul from recent events, she distanced herself from the kind who danced below and mingled around her when normally she would indulge herself in the myriad of sound, smell, and sensation that it was to lose yourself to the song and dance, absent thought for anything but the moment. No, her mood was too unsteady on account of Roscoe's carelessness. She had no patience for his excuses, and because of his actions her mind was pulled away from the coming Elysium and the revealing of her magnum opus. She should humiliate him for what he had done. At the same time, he reminded her far too much of her sire for that. He bore a striking resemblance to her sire, which weakened her resolve to discipline him properly. She still recalled so vividly how she and her sire had met. It had been at an art gallery in Buffalo, New York. The first time she had got a piece into the gallery. Her sire, Paul Colston, had been there, moving through the crowd with an air of confidence that should have intimidated everyone around him. Yet to see him was to want his attention, to yearn to hear him speak your name. He had possessed an incredible understanding of people. With a glance he seemed to innately understand what kind of person they were, what motivated them, and to that end what to say to have them sing and dance to his tune like rodents to the piper. When he had noticed her art she had held her breath, but as he asked her about her piece, spoke to her of it, it was clear. He understood it. He truly understood it and her on a level she hadn't even fully grasped yet. Yet their time together was to be spoiled by the Sabbat, as she and her sire were taken as captives, little more than trophies of war that they delighted in tormenting and degrading and torturing and humiliating. The things she had been subject to for their amusement and to survive, the things she had done to survive, the memories still were raw and blistering in her mind. She hated the Sabbat. Truly she despised their fetid sect. When the Camarilla had come to the Sabbat, when she and her sire, as well as the other captive Camarilla, had been urged and led against the Sabbat, she had sworn to never again be subjected to such horrors or die before returning to them. Instead, her sire had been destroyed. And not just her sire had been taken from her. In truth, she had embraced many childer before Roscoe. The artist in her wished to say she could not recall how many, but that was untrue. She remembered them all. Forced to embrace them either to feed those Sabbat who were no longer able to sustain themselves off of the blood of mortals, or for their sick amusement and games. By the end of her captivity she had been different, colder, harsher, detached. It was a night such as this that she had met Roscoe. When she had first seen him, she had mistaken him for Paul. For that reason alone, she knew she must possess him. The more she learned of him, the more she desired to see her sire brought back to her, in whatever capacity she could muster, and so she had embraced him. Roscoe was the first child that she had ever chosen. Why couldn't he simply be more like the grandsire, whose vitae and lineage ran in his veins now? She wouldn't allow for such a failure on either of their parts. Though she was so torn by him at this moment, she both wanted to hold him for the precious thing he represented, and peel the skin from his flesh for making her so vulnerable so. She raised her hand to brush the hair from her eyes, and paused. A favoured pet from her herd was coming up the stairs, with a pretty young woman on his arm. A wave of possessiveness washed over her as she fought the beast's urge to tear the woman's throat out and to maim him for his actions. Stopping just at the top of the stairs, her man pushed the girl forwards towards her. "I brought someone for you, Lady Orchid," he said, with a proud smile. Her anger began to fade. What a good man to bring her a vessel from which to feed. Looking over to the girl again, she smiled. The little thing had all the makings of an introverted artist and smelled of potpourri, the smell of a kind heart. The girl was the kind of artistic soul that hadn't yet truly grasped her passion and freed herself to live her art. Such a delectable thing may have promised beyond satisfying Black Orchid's hunger. She looked to her favorite pet. What a good man he was indeed. She would have to reward him later. She had been so distant with him for his foolishness in thinking to have another woman in his life. No, so long as he was hers, she would not share him with any woman. So long as his beauty and artistic passion held, he would be hers. Extending her hand, she took the young lady by the wrist and led the girl and her pet to a secluded space where she could feed and ease her frustrations.